Channel Cinco TV, Cinco Podcast. We're here with a very special guest. I've been doing a lot of research on her for a while. She is a sixth generation Austinite. She's a mother and also a very devoted community activist. We have Miss Bertha Rendon Delgado here. How you doing, ma'am?
Good. Thank you.
I'm so glad you could take time out your day. I know you're busy with a lot right now.
You're welcome. I'm honored to be here.
I know you have a big event coming up, so if you want to speak on that first, we're going to have an event here this Sunday.
So yeah, I want to invite everyone out to the Chicano Park Day. We're going to be celebrating this Sunday, August the 25th, the year 2024, here at the Chicano Park area, Fiesta Gardens. The entire park will be celebrating the history of Chicano Park. And so I invite everyone. We have an event going on online, on social media. We also have flyers out there that have been posted. If you've seen one of these flyers as well, has a lot of our sponsors, the people that will be participating, as well as the people that have, been a part of the committee of making this happen. It's been a dream, I want to say, for 46 years of Chicano history that people have been wanting to celebrate and the new year. So I'm really, not just honored, but blessed to actually have organized it and got it off the ground. As organizers, you're passionate about what you do. And so you try to figure out, okay, well, how do we get it done? And it takes years for things to actually get in the motions. And so I feel like Chicano Park Day has not just been a dream for our ancestors and our elders that have fought for the parque, but I feel like it's been, on our agenda for 4.5 years since the reborning of the Chicano Park mural, the For La Raza mural, the victory of Chicano Park still being here. I think it's taken the 4 years to actually get this done. Because of the pandemic, we've had a huge delay, and because of gentrification that has hit East Austin. We're so busy putting out fires that we're not celebrating our cultura, our Mexican heritage, our identity, and who we are. And so I'm really glad that we're able to finally get a day that's going to be proclaimed by the city of Austin as Chicano Park Day on August the 25th, which there's a history behind it, and I want to share today with you all. But yeah, that's our weekend celebration this weekend.
All right, so everybody come out. We'll have there's gonna be a lot of stuff, like a lot of people vending and cars.
Lowrider cars, yes. We're gonna have a lot of lowrider cars out here. Big shout out to Prophecy Car Club. Joe Medina, he has been very instrumental in saving Chicano Park, as well as a part of the Chicano Park, takeover. He has an entire team of people across the state of Texas and across the nation out in California. And so Prophecy Car Club has always been involved. Also, another very prominent car club, one of the oldest car clubs in Austin, dating all the way into the 1970s, is El Barrio Car Club. President, Mr. Jay Kalunga. Mr. Kalunga is not just a custom artist for painting vehicles, customized lowriders, bringing them from nothing to a beautiful car, a showcase car. Mr. Kalunga has been our elder to keep the lowrider culture continuing here at Chicano Park. Also, we couldn't have done it without Land Society. Land Society Car Club is also a long Austin car club that's been here for generations. And the team at Latin Society has always been low riding in Chicano Park too. We can't forget High Class Car Club, which, you know, they're all the way out in San Antonio, Texas. And so they've also been a great supporter. As you can see, a lot of their vehicles are listed. High Class, Galunga's vehicle. He's known for the bombs. And so, you know, those are some of the car clubs. We have so many more. Texas Finest. We have Straight Clowning. We have so many different Mexican car clubs that have been a part of our culture, our legacy, and we should always be supporting them. And so I want to give a big shout out to all the lowriders. This Cultura Day and everything that we live for here at Chicano Park would not be possible without our Austin lowriders. Big shout out to Montopolis. We have a lot of our lowriders out coming from Montopolis. Mr. Manuel Medina. He's also been, a big advocate for Chicano Park lowriding. And so, yeah, lowriding is a part of our cultura. When we were growing up, that's what we did. Our parents brought us here, our cousins. We all came to the parque and, picnicked and had a gathering with all of our familia and friends. And people would bring out the lowrider cars and show off, their work, their paint jobs, their bang, their rims, their interior. And so I feel like we've come a long way, in keeping that lowriding culture alive here in Austin, Texas.
Well, definitely looking forward to that event this Sunday. I got a chance to go to one of your council meetings this past week, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to this park. So could you speak on some of the things that are going on, the changes that people are trying to make, and what you're doing to get everybody involved that needs to be involved when it comes to that?
So Chicano Park has a long history. If people don't know, I want y'all to look up a YouTube called Boats in the Barrio. And Boats in the Barrio was created in 1979. And it's a documentary that shows what was going on in this park before we were born. This park had been an area that, first of all, wasn't even a park. It didn't have a playground. It didn't have what you see today: sidewalks, water fountains, swimming pool, shade structure, picnic tables, trees. It was just literally land, all land. And as if you don't know, a part of the 1928 master plan, when they divided all of the people of color, East Austin was then created as a Mexican and Black community. And so people were placed here at that time, displaced from where they originally were, which is in West Austin. And so there's a whole deep root of rich history of gentrification and displacement that no one likes to talk about anymore. And so my grandparents were from a different area. And so when they were placed here in the 1960s, East Austin became its own city. It had its own parks, its own schools, its own, businesses, its own restaurants. I mean, we were literally its own city. So people from 35 of West Austin didn't cross over here. People never wanted to come to East Austin. East Austin was considered, the most, poorest community in the entire city. We were considered the urban core kids because we grew up next to, plants and industrial. And we grew up next to a train, and we were close to downtown. And so I want to give that little bit of history, because if you go back and you think about, we're reliving history today. So now that when they brought us here and these Mexican residents were able to purchase homes and we were able to live here, it was a time when this area was being used for Aquafest in the 1960s. And so, you know, they wanted to do an entire boat racing, drag boat racing type of competition to bring revenue from the city. And Austin Chambers at the time pushed that. They said, oh, we need to bring revenue to Austin, and we see this beautiful water, and let's create this entire commercialized tourist attraction on the water. And so, you know, when I look at the videos back then, and I'm like, they wanted to do that here. They didn't want to do it in West Austin Town Lake, but they wanted to do it in East Austin Town Lake, when there was nothing but an entire area of poor Mexicans that live here. Well, I started going back deeper. Why did the people that lived here before leave? We're not the ones that created the neighborhoods and the areas. Why did the people leave here? The people that were Scottish, the people that were Portland, the people that were European, all of these people that were here. Well, they were placed here because Austin was considered a veteran city for, you know, the Air Force Bertram, you know, I guess the camp that we had, Camp Mabry, and the fact that we were close to Fort Hood. So this area was really for Scottish and people from all different areas for the Army. And then when a power plant got built in the 1960s, they said, we're not going to live next to a power plant. We're leaving. So the shift of the people that left because there was an industrial Holly power plant that was being built. So then when they moved all the Mexicans and the blacks from Clarksville and from Republican Square and all of West 5th to here, and again, this is all before we were all born, they put people of color next to a hazardous power plant that they knew was going to kill people in the future. They knew it was going to harm the people. The radiation, the pollution of this monster Holly power plant was going to give us health issues. So the fact that it was all made by design is the heartbreaking experience. Because if you think about the Mexican population and the black population at that time, they really were limited on resources and actual tools to fight back any racism or injustices. They were actually in the midst of breaking barriers across the nation with President Kennedy and, you know, MLK. And there was a whole entire Cesar Chavez, a revolution happening on a nation platform nationally, while locally the real injustices were happening in our communities. These people that were blue-collar workers, that were workers that were building the rail, that were building the buildings, that were construction workers, the people of color, the Mexican community did not know that being around this power plant and any type of, if you lived a block in the blast zone, if you lived outside the boundaries, it didn't matter. The radiation of that power plant was going to hurt you. We had 5 schools here: Sanchez Elementary, Metz Elementary, Brook Elementary, Zavala Elementary. All of those elementaries, Martin Middle School, all those 5 were all in the proximity of the Holly power plant, and plus the industrial plants like Arnold Oil that was on East 6th Street, Budweiser. Every plant you can think of, we were surrounded by. You know, you look at that and you're like, we've been gentrified because when they closed the power plant, everyone saw, wow, there's no more harm over here. Let's move over there and take those homes and take that area and let it become ours. And when I say they, that means the power, the people of money, the white people, the people that work with the government, the inside internal power to take over this area and displace hundreds and thousands of people, close schools, close everything, relocate everybody because the rents went high, the taxes went high. We were not prepared for this. The city didn't prepare us. And when you look at this 98 acres of parkland that was fought by the Chicano community when they tried to put the boat races, and they put up black gates, black tarp on the gates so people wouldn't access it because you had to pay to get in. So when they put a wall of discrimination, that's when the Chicano community said, ya basta, enough is enough. And that's when they mobilized their soldiers and their leaders, and they fought against a development on the water that was so powerful. And people thought they weren't going to win, and they won. And I want to thank the Brown Berets for that, the Chicano Brown Berets. And I want to thank Easttown Lake Citizens Neighborhood Association, which was the first association that was founded in the boundaries of East Cesar Chavez from 35 to Longhorn Bridge all the way down to the water. At the time, El Concilio, which was a neighborhood Mexican-American coalition that was founded and created by Chicano activist Paul Hernandez, created Concilio because it was in an umbrella to cluster neighborhoods, to barrios across the neighborhood that would be able to equip themselves to fight back the injustices and to create a safe, beautiful neighborhood and a beautiful area for their children. We had Barrio Nido, which was off of East 4th Street. We have Buena Vista, which is off of East 2nd Street. We had Pedernales Association, which is off of Pedernales and 6th and 7th. We had Easttown Lake. So we had Rainy Street neighborhood. All of these clustered neighborhoods that needed representation, minority representation, was powerful at that time. So as that was being created, streets were being paved because they were dirt. Schools were being, revamped. Pools were being built. Things were being finally built because of the people of color coming out and demanding it. It wasn't given to us. We had to fight for it. So that it all entwines into the boat races of Easttown Lake. It's all a big story of how we were placed here and then we weren't given the same opportunities here. To put a black tarp over all of this area and not allow the people of color to look at those boat races, to enjoy that scenery, was discriminating. To have them break down everything and then the entire neighborhood be invaded by white speculators that disrespected the neighbors by urinating in their yards, by throwing trash, by trashing this whole area with nothing but beer cans and trash, by yelling and being disruptive to the quality of life of the Mexicanos here, was discriminating. Finally, the Chicano community said, enough is enough, and we're gonna fight back. So as they marched through the streets with hundreds of people, high schools like Johnston High School, all of the raza coming together, just imagine them marching down these streets, demanding that they shut this boat race down and that they relocate them. Action had to happen like that in order for our voices to be heard, which created violence. We didn't ask for the violence. They didn't ask for the violence. The violence came to us. When police came, they were so angry to see so many protesters and signs and people, yelling and shouting, varios sí, barcos no, varios sí, barcos no. Neighborhoods, yes, boats, no. They were vivid. They were mad. They wanted to shut everything down, but they were not able to because there was more Mexicanos than police. We, the people, have the power. And we had the power at that moment that the police got so mad that they went to find who's in charge of this protest. And they beat him. They beat Paul Hernandez on this land. And they dragged women. And in the video, you're going to see that people are crying and yelling while white APD officers are hitting our family members with batons. That is police brutality. And it happened here in Austin, Texas in 1978. And we're never going to forget it. It's still happening today. Police brutality is brewing today. This year we haven't had one killing, but every year there's a killing with APD. So we talk about why we want to save Chicano Park. Well, that's why. Because our ancestors, our grandparents, our parents fought hard to give us this park. That movement was not over. It went to council. And in that Boats for Audio video, you're going to see the brown berets standing up there and fighting con ganas, with passion for our people. So I come from all of that. You know, my grandfather, Edward Rendon, which is why the park's named after him, he led that movement as the president of Easttown Lake Citizens Neighborhood Association because people didn't want to listen to a bunch of radicals and a bunch of activists like the Brown Berets. People didn't want to hear them. Oh, there are a lot of you know, people that don't know nothing. They're uneducated. They were always ready to criticize our people, our men. So my grandfather had to come in a different avenue as a homeowner. 1705 Haskell Street. My grandfather owned his first home, and it was demolished in 2021 by a developer. 2020. The fact is that when grandfather and the Brown Berets and the entire East Austin Raza marched and proclaimed this land in 1978 is when the city hall saw that these Mexicans weren't going to back down. And they banned drag boat racing and motor boats on Town Lake. That's why you don't see that activity here. Austin Chambers had to take that activity to another city or go somewhere else because it's not here anymore. It doesn't exist in Town Lake. So that following year in 1980, at the time, Mayor Keaton Strayhorn, our first woman mayor, decided, you know what? We're going to work with the neighborhood association, Easttown Lake. We're going to work with the residents, and we're going to create a neighborhood park for them. So it's such an honor to know this and to be a part of my family history. Is that Grandpa Huelo, former commissioner and former president of Easttown Lake, Mr. Marcos de Leon, his wife, Hortensia Palomares, they were both UT students. My father, Chicano Brown Beret, Martin Delgado. I am a daughter of a Brown Beret. And my godfather, Paul Hernandez, co-founder of the the Austin Brown Berets all sat, my mom, a whole bunch of other people, sat in my grandfather's living room and created the 1980 Town Lake Comprehensive Master Plan. That's what you see here. It was called the Town Lake Comprehensive Master Plan. So my abuelo told me, and all of us, and so did everyone else, that Grandpa said, we need trees, we need picnic tables, we need barbecue pits, and we need a big barbecue pit because we have big families and we need to be able to cook a pigeon. It's a story they say all the time. I'm like, well, yeah, we do eat a lot of chicken. But Grandpa, Abuelo, Edward Rendon wanted to make sure that this park was equipped for us, that we were able to have something that belonged to the Mexican community. And that's why he went to those council meetings. He went and met with politicians like Gonzalo Barrientos, Richard Moya, Johnny Trevino. Those were our first Mexican politicians. He had partnerships with them. He was a part of the Austin Hispanic Chambers of Commerce. He was a part of the Hispanic contractors. He was in that political leadership for the community. Let me tell you why. Because he was not just a resident of the neighborhood and an advocate, but his first language was Spanish. And in that generation, their second language was English. So he had to represent the Mexicano community, the Mexican American community. And it didn't matter if the great grandparents or the great came from Mexico and we were all settled here. That didn't matter. We were Mexican American and we had rights just like the Willios. So my abuelo was not just in a part of LULAC and every organization you can think of. And as an entrepreneur, he was a business owner. His leadership was to make sure that we had the same access and the rights to vote. And that's what he instilled in us. If you're not a part of the process, then you can't get nothing done. You can't just be like your Brown Beret family and hold a protest. You need to sit with us and you need to organize. And so he was teaching Paul and my dad and all those Brown Berets that were radicals and they were militant and they had just got kicked out of the war, of the army. He was telling them, we have to do more than just that. We have to sit and we have to create what we want to see. So that's what you see today. In 2013, the master plan already had hit, its 25-year mark. And so every 25 years, you have to go back and look at it. Well, we hadn't had funding to get what you see today. All these new sidewalks, the new picnic tables, the mural, the new shade structure, and they're real minor things. You would think, well, why do we have to wait 25 years for that? Because growing up, I didn't have a sidewalk here. I had to walk with spinas. They would put spinas in our grass. So you wouldn't be able to walk barefooted in here. You would get spinas. Does Zilker Park or does Peace Park, do all those parks have spinas? We saw that there were some inequities. We saw that there was still unfairness going around. Why didn't we have working water fountains? Why didn't we have a restroom that was, sanitized? Why don't we have toilet paper? We began to ask these questions. Now our elders are elder. They're in wheelchairs, they're 80s, they're 90s, they're 70s, and now we, the generation of the 40s, are like, what's going on here? Where's the money at? So in 2013, we were fighting a huge developer that wanted to come in here. They wanted to build an entire Jersey Shore. If you've ever been to Jersey Shore in New Jersey, it's all concrete, border walk. They even wanted to put a Ferris wheel. And we fought. And that's when I became into leadership. I was initiated and voted in on my grandfather's table in 2012 as the new president of East Town Lake. Former Travis County Commissioner Marcos De Leon retired after doing his 20. My grandfather did 20, he did 20, and now it was my turn. If I like it or not, he said. And so because I have the passion and the blood of, of the Chicano community, my mom was actually pregnant when the boat races were happening. And they didn't let her march because she was pregnant with me. And they put her there at the house. She was able to make signs and stuff, but I was born in August the 27th, 1979. So exactly the same year, the same month and the next year, but the same year I was conceived and then I was born the next year. So it's in my DNA. Whenever you're manifesting something, whenever you're around a movement, it's a part of your soul. It's a part of who you are. And it really, it's such a part of you. Whatever you create it with that passion. And so I never thought in a million years that I was going to be fighting to save Chicano Park in 2013. And I was going to be put as a president, and I was going to be nominated as a park chair of the Edward Rendon Holly Shores Master Plan, which Town Lake then turned its name to Edward Rendon Holly Shores Master Plan because my grandfather was the leader, and it was created in his home. So my grandfather had been honored already. Even though we wanted to name this area Chicano Park, the city denied the application and said, no, you can't name a park legally after a certain race. So we said, well, we're going to come back. You're not going to name it to Mr. Long.
Yeah.
You're going to name it after a community leader that fought for this park in this area. And Grandpa Edward Rendon was nominated in the neighborhood association, and he was adopted. And we told the community, we're going to put Chicano Park's name on here. It's just in due time. It's a process. It took us years to get what we have here. I'm talking about 40 years. And since I've been in leadership since 2012, this is what you see. And it's still taking me a longer time just to get the Chicano Park name, just to get more murals in the pool, to get this building back to the community center, to make sure that we remove the gates and we had access to Fiesta Gardens. We're still in that fight. So the fight today is Expedition School. If you notice here, we've been sharing this, and it has 3 QR codes on there that tells you what the development is, what is it doing, where is it at, who's involved, and it states on here, stop the approval, stop the permitting, stop the expansion, stop the boat dock and the lagoon. So everyone knows Fiesta Gardens as an area that we did Cinco de Mayo, 16, and in the back there was a lagoon that back again in the 1970s was an area that the white speculators would come and sit and watch a boat parade. We weren't on those boats. Those weren't our boats. We weren't even guests. So when all of that got shut down, all that area, because of the Holly Power Plant, was so contaminated from the spills of the oil and all the toxins that were dumped in our water, the water became unsafe. They put a swimming ban. It's unsafe. You can't swim in the water. And this is not a lake. It's Colorado River. It's a river. And when they created the dam was always closed, that there was no flow of any type of water improvements. The canals, there was no canal to flow out the water. It just stayed in a whirlpool. And so as toxins sat under the sands in the bottom, the sand dune, because this was all created in the 1950s, early 60s. They finally were like, this water is too dangerous. People started drowning in that time. Mexican people drowning all the time because they didn't know. They thought that it was a river, a lake. They thought it was safe because it was low, but it wasn't. There were sand dunes that would take you under and kill you. So then the swimming ban came into effect, and then all that area became gated. Well, we were tired of seeing those gates. We wanted to access the pavilion in the area. So we said, take the gates down, but not for this. Not for a canoe boat rental concession that is gonna make this white lady some money. Our parks are not for sale. Our lake is not for sale. And the fact that our former council member, Pio Renteria, created an ordinance in 2019, a month before the pandemic, before we had a national shutdown, and said, oh, we want to bring water activity to East Austin. We want to do kayaking. Well, yeah, maybe we like it. I've never been on a kayak before, but my kids and my grandchildren, but we don't like it here. So the lagoon was designated by the parks as a location for this proposal. So today they have proposed a 10,000 square feet, which is 3 houses and combined. 10,000 is pretty big, to take over the lagoon area next to Fiesta Gardens, and to take the parking lot that our low-riding community posts up during Sundays and all the events we throw there. And to also designate a sign that says Expedition School. And they can operate a full-time business, not part-time, not one day, every day, and create rentals and revenue, and the community doesn't benefit at all. And the saddest thing is that this is a woman that doesn't live in the neighborhood, that's very privileged, that lives in Westlake, that has multiple expedition schools across the nation. It's a money-making machine that our community can't benefit from. And not one employee is minority. So that's the fight today.
Man, I feel like you just gave a breakdown of like the history. Like, it's just so much history.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and like one thing I've noticed too is that like if you go on YouTube and you look up East Austin, like any videos, there's just so much compared to any other part of the city. But definitely something that people should be aware about when it comes to what they got planned. How can people get involved and help, and what can be done to, I guess you could say, stop it?
So, when I think about people say, oh, it's already gone. They already took over. People throw in the towel. People say it can't be done. But I just gave you 2 stories. The closing of the Holly Power Plant that was only done by a handful of people, which was East Town Lake, Paul, my grandpa, Francis Martinez, Susana Almanza, Poder. A handful of people can do anything. And we're asking that you call Jose Velasquez, our District 3 City Council member. Email Jose Velasquez. Hold our council member and our mayor and our city manager accountable. Attend the meetings. Attend the protests. Attend the press conferences. Be a body, even if you can't say nothing. Because sometimes people can't, for whatever reason it may be. I don't want to judge people for not being able to participate, but we need people's support. So I ask people to come to Chicano Park Day as we proclaim the day in a proclamation by the city, and we stamp our land with our name. So I ask people to come, be a part of it. I ask people to show up at the Parks Board on Monday, August the 26th, City Hall, 6 o'clock. You got to get there at 5:30. I ask you to come to City Council on August the 29th, which is a Thursday. Sign up to speak right now. You can get on the website. I can provide you all of that information. Phone numbers, emails. Do what you can from your phone and your computer. If you can't be there, to be a support. Show up with a sign that says Save Chicano Park. Don't sell our park. Don't allow privatized commercial businesses to come in to make money here. We can't even sell without a permit. For this event, they require me to do all kinds of red tape. That's why people are not able to do things, because it's so challenging and it's so difficult. And the city has made it very difficult for us. We are not on the plane of fairness when it comes to economics here in our economy in Austin. The natives of Austin have been put to the side and have been at the bottom of the barrel. So we are financially struggling in poverty right now, and the most progressive capital city of the state of Texas. So we have a lot of challenges. Preservation of our heritage, of our nature, of our green space, of our beautiful trees, the grass you see, the birds, the plants, everything is so important. The air quality, the environmental climate. I didn't learn all of that until I got older. When we're young, we're busy, living the young life. But you'll start seeing that it gets harder and harder. They have the pipeline to prison. They have people being on welfare and not getting out of that so they can make money and buy homes. And so everything is created by design. So if you think about it, the people of color are living every day with more challenges than the whites or the Chinese or others. So we can't say that we're living in freedom, because we're not. If you think about it, we're not. And I think that people have been blinded to other things. Not knowing facts, not knowing history, not surrounding yourself around elders that are going to stem wisdom for you. You have to take the lens off and really dive into what happened in the past, what's been happening in Austin, what's still happening right now, and why aren't we doing anything about it? We need to prioritize our leadership here and our work. If we don't, and this goes to everyone out there, even the young ones that want to be leaders, even the ones that call themselves leaders, but even the ones that are out there just trying to get clout. Use your voice, use your talent, use your craft to create an impact for our kids, for us, for our elders. Be a part of that voice to change what's happening here. Because if we don't, the old, the new, my age, and we don't create like a pyramid, and we don't save, our history is going to be erased. Our people are going to die. And all we're going to keep on seeing is losses. And nobody's going to gain. And they say this metaphor that the Mexican people are like crabs in a bucket. They just are trying to get out, and they're just bringing people down. So I want to share an important thing with you. Solidarity is so important. Uniting is so important. People putting their differences aside and fighting for a cause is so important. And people not selling out for $1 is so important. Because if we were to do better as a community and as a culture in the Mexican descent, barrios and families, we would be so powerful. And we were on our way until the city saw in a census report, oh, these Mexicans are going to be the majority. We better stop it. So we had a national pandemic. Was it conspiracy? Oh, yes, it was. If you look at how many people died in the pandemic, there were more people of color that died. That is what you call population control on a national level, on a government level. So if you survive that pandemic, you're lucky. Because everyone in every family, someone died. My uncle died by himself in a hospital. My uncle, Robert Bear Rendon. And I know so many stories of people's families that died alone. Mr. Jesse Segovia. So many people died. So people need to wake up and smell the coffee, because they're killing us and we're killing ourselves. Lack of health insurance. People don't go to the doctor. People are being medicated with pills that they shouldn't even be taking instead of natural herbal. They're dying because of medicines. It's real life issues, quality of life, health, financial, stability, housing, homelessness. All of that is a part of our everyday life and our quality of life. And we need to do better. And my story can go on and on and on. You know, growing up in the barrio, you know, we grew up in a very hard neighborhood. Drug dealers, gangs, poverty. We would have to stand in line at the Salvation Army to get jackets, to get shoes. All of us did. For somebody, I don't care, anybody that you're from the barrio, you're from the hood, if you didn't tell me you didn't have WIC, food stamps, Medicaid, Salvation Army, Goodwill, then you weren't poor. You were privileged. And so we're segregated in our own community. People of the Chicano culture are, some that didn't live the oppressed are not oppressed. So they can't talk on the oppressed. So my life stems from all of that. And I know we can share some more later about it, but it was a very, very difficult life in East Austin. And that's what made us tough. That's what made us strong. But we saw a lot. A lot. Things that kids should not have seen. Things that kids should not have experienced. Things that I know I didn't put my kids through or my grandkid through. But I know I'm a living testimony, just like thousands of children from East Austin. And that's why Chicano Park Day, the committee, I selected everyone handpicked. Robert Cepeda, Maggie Salazar, Larry Delgado, Benny Estrada, Tanner Martinez, Joe Medina, Jay Kalunga, Jennifer Howell, Ashley Salazar, DJ Wiz. All of those people I mentioned are rooted. I didn't go out and go to a corporate sponsor and get hundreds of thousands of dollars and made this a corporate event. Every vendor in there is local, and we're all trying to survive and eat and be a part of our city. And that's why Chicano Park Day, it means the world to me. And it means the world to so many that we're finally going to put a city proclamation and proclaim this day and save this park, because this is all we have left.
Man, you're such a passionate speaker, and like, it's just, I really admire like everything that you do, because if it wasn't for you, you know, I'm not sure if there's somebody else who might, you know, will bring that same type of effort to make all this possible. And like you said, there's so many things that, like, so much history, so much more history that we could talk about. But I'm glad that we got the history of Chicano Park, and also, you know, everything that's going on now. And like you said, I think it's important for people to get involved right now, because it's moving fast, also moving fast. And
I want to share a shirt that I have that really means a lot to me, because I was very fortunate to grow up around the Chicano movement, around Chicano artists, and around Chicano life, the lifestyle of the Chicanos. And this is Tapon. His name is Raul Salinas. And he was a poet, a Chicano poet, and a Chicano activist. But he used his activism world in his words and his speeches and his poetry. And so, as a little girl, watching leaders like him do something that we've never seen before, create our struggle into a platform of words and speech, we learn from that. And so I just wanted to just share what a great leader. And today, the Sentencia bookstore is alive, which he founded, and is currently being ran by Gilbert Rivera, Lila Rosas in Montopolis. And so you can always go out. If you want to learn more about your Chicano history, we have an establishment there called a Sentencia bookstore that has Chicano books, that has a lot of history of our activism world, just so you can educate yourself. As well as we have Poder Office on Cesar Chavez, which is founded by Susana Almanza, which is an environmentalist activist, as well as she was a Chicana Brown Beret, and so was Gilbert. He was a Brown Beret. So the fact that our elders are still alive, learn from them and be a part of them.
there's so many like questions that I had, but I feel like that's like the most important part right there, with you, everything that you just said. Is there anything else that you wanna say?
Just que viva Chicano Park, que viva la raza. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to your people. Don't turn your back, because God sees everything, and only I couldn't do the work I do if I didn't have God on my side and I didn't rely on the Lord. And that's another thing that we have lost, is we've lost our stripes to want to be better when it comes to walking with Christ. You know, we have the Cristo Rey Church. We're fighting to keep our English masses. It starts at 12 o'clock. We have the Guadalupe Church. We have Santa Julia. We have all these churches that are monuments of our grandparents, of our history. So that part, stay with God, because without the Lord, you know, we're not going to make it. And the Lord is going to open those doors for us. And I'm a strong believer. You know, we come from families and velas that would like the velas and the praying. And so I want to just encourage the young people and the people to continue the faith. And again, you know, we're going to start off with prayer on Sunday, just to make sure that, you know, this event and this space is, you know, under the covenant of God. And so I just wanted to leave with that, to let you know, without God, we ain't nothing.